we're going to start talking about the journey, you may as well record it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Well, yeah, it's been probably a year. Is it a year or is it 2 years now? I think it's a year since I did my very first journey. And I'd like never done any type of thing like that before. So it's a little bit freaky. Like I think because there's a big like stigma around it, right? Like a lot of people use mushrooms recreationally and
yeah.
they talk about like their face melting and shit like that. Like obviously that would be pretty concerning to someone who has never done that kind of stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I think the reason why I really wanted to do it is because well, V actually was the one who suggested it and wanted to guide us through it. So that obviously felt very comfortable because it's someone that you can trust, you know?
Yeah.
And it was done with the intent of making it very therapeutic. So you blindfold yourself and you wear earplugs so that you're not getting external stimulus,
Hmm.
which I will touch on like about this journey because oh my god, it's okay. First of all, welcome back to Yin and Yang Healing. We're exploring beyond the physical, especially when it comes to healing, because oh my god, this is like a lot to unpack, especially when you do a hero's journey, because it's like you're not just you're not just like healing this one little thing. I feel like a lot of people go to a practitioner, have a session with us, that kind of thing. They have like one little thing they want to work on, and a bunch of shit comes out and blah, blah, blah. But when you do a hero's journey, it's kind of like you get in touch with something within you that you never knew existed. And it's pretty fucking mind-blowing. So my intention going into this one was, excuse me, was that I wanted to heal these money blocks that I've had for a really long time. My entire life, I've never been able to make more than $65,000 a year. And I follow a couple of people who do this kind of thing too. And this is something they talk about often, where it's like you're energetically like just at this level and you will never pass this level, like income wise, until you heal a certain thing in yourself. And then you'll go to this next level, and then you'll be trapped at that level. And then it just keeps going, kind of thing. So anyway, that was kind of my intention, is I wanted to get clear on my path and my business. Like I've felt stuck with the message behind the business, all that kind of thing. And obviously like the money cap and whatever. And so that was my intention. So this is piece number one of doing a psilocybin journey. So for those who actually didn't like put this together, this is psilocybin mushrooms, or people call it magic mushrooms. And you use it therapeutically for healing to go within, and it just brings out all this stuff. And when we talk about it, we call it the plant medicine. And the medicine, it knows what your subconscious needs. So basically I went in with this intention, and sometimes this will happen, especially if you're taking like a hero dose. Hero journey is like a bigger dose.
Yeah.
And so basically for a long time, and this is interesting because you and I talk about a lot about relationships because that's your niche. I've been like kind of struggling with some components of my relationship. And so the medicine took me on this journey that basically healed a big fucking piece of my relationship. And my partner was the one guiding me through it, just like basically making sure I don't fuck myself up. You know, you're blindfolded and shit. And anyway, I'll get to that, but it's just really important that you kind of keep those senses cut off. Otherwise, your journey just goes on for a gazillion hours. But at the same time, it also showed me some of the pieces that I needed as far as my intention goes. So I experienced my death. I went through like a very dark thing. I went to a place where I literally felt like I was in it for 1,000 years, which is both terrifying and enlightening because I'm like, felt like I was downloading all this information. And anyway, I get to a point where I end up taking my mask off, and I perceived in the moment that my partner was just pissed at me. In reality, she wasn't, but in the moment, I believed it. I was like, why are you so mad at me? Oh my God. And then I heard like a neighbor must have like slammed a door or dropped something, or there was a big thud. And I was like, oh, in reality, you're actually somewhere else in the house and you're really pissed off, because that's like what would happen for her. Like, she's the more anxious partner in the relationship. I'm the more avoidant partner. So when those two types of people have conflict, the avoidant basically like shuts down and leaves. The anxious gets fucking pissed and like throws shit and yells. And so I was like convinced in the moment. I'm like, oh my God, in reality, you're breaking up with me, bro. Everything that I'm saying, I'm like, I love you. In reality, it's probably me saying I hate you, and don't leave me is me probably saying, leave me. And I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this. So I was like super fucked up because the medicine was basically tricking me in thinking that all of these fears that I have in real life of like driving my partner away was coming true, and was bringing me to this realization of this deep-seated fear that I actually had of being alone and losing her. And so I finally figured out after hours that I'm like, I need to put the blindfold back on, because what I was seeing was not true. And I had to put the earplugs back in, because of what I was hearing was keeping me stuck in this pattern. And so, long story short, I hope that I can find some of this footage and actually put it. Maybe I'll try and find it and put it on our page so people can see it. But it was pretty fucking hilarious. Me basically being like, the only way out of this is I have to shit my pants. And my partner's just like, I don't need you to shit your pants and humiliate yourself in front of me. And I'm sure you don't need yourself to shit your pants and humiliate yourself in front of me. And she's like, maybe this is just a metaphor for you being more vulnerable.
And this is why you have to, when you do a journey like this, you have to do it with someone, I feel like, so that they can like hold space for you and like guide you out of that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can just like run around in a circle in that literally for the whole entire time and get nowhere.
Yeah. And it honestly blows my fucking mind that people, A, do this recreationally, and B,
Yeah.
do it therapeutically on their own. Like, my partner was watching some video about how some guy, he goes out into the woods and does it by himself. And that is fucking mind blowing to me, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I need that security of like having a sober person there to guide you and being like, you know what, you're safe, you're at home, just let the medicine do its job, kind of thing. But basically, I remember feeling my body releasing so much stuff. My eyes were just like, I was basically crying without consciously crying. So it was subconsciously releasing a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, your video turned off, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to turn off for a second.
Okay.
I'm still here though. I'm still listening.
Okay.
I'm told I have something stuck in my tooth, so.
Oh, you know what? That's all good. You should just pick it right on camera. Everyone
No,
wants
it's
to
like
see.
it's like really stuck in there. Normally I would, but it was like really stuck in there. I had to like savage to get it out.
But anywho, I
So did
guess
it
I
touch on
just
the money piece at all, or was it like just the relationship thing and like the fear of like being alone kind
so
of
I
coming up?
think, yeah, I think the majority of it was for the relationship because my subconscious just knew what I needed to heal.
Mhm.
But I do think that there was a big component to my original intention as well, which was because I've wanted to help people facilitate these healing sessions for a while now. But I've never had anyone who's like, okay, I'll do it and I'll let you guide me kind of thing. And so
Yes.
I think this was the medicine's way of being like, I'm going to take you through a whole bunch of variations of things that people that you guide will go through so you fucking know. And so I feel like there is a big component of, first of all the different things that I experience so that I can have an understanding when I facilitate of what people are going through, and then also the experience of realizing how important it is to take away those senses,
Yeah.
because I feel like for me that kept me in it for much longer than was required. My journey was like, I want to say close to 9 hours, which is fucking insane. My first one was a very, very similar dose, but was only, I don't know, 6 hours. So it does, like, it plays a huge role in the actual healing component of it. Because it took me so much longer to realize it. And the and the way that the medicine seems to work is that once you finally come to the realization of what it's trying to show you or teach you, you come out of it. It's
Right. Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
So basically,
It is so wild.
yeah, so basically like what I realized was that I had to let go. Like the like pooping my pants thing was a metaphor for a being more vulnerable, but also just letting go. And once I finally was like, okay, just let it go, let it go. And the funny part about this was I had tried to go to the bathroom like so many times to the point where I was like sagging on the toilet, just like exhausted because my body was just like letting all this shit go. And my partner's just like, you have gone to the toilet so many times, but literally nothing is happening. You're not gonna fucking piss your pants or shit the bed. And so
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
so then I was just like, I just need to go in the bed and shit in the bed, which is like a metaphor as well. It's like you're gonna shit the bed. It's kind of hilarious when you think back at it. But anyway, so I just got to the point where I had to just release it. I had to just allow myself to let that happen if it was going to happen. And that was actually really hard. And so I realized that a big component of the whole thing was just letting go of control in general. And I think that's also kind of played into my career, my business, my income, that kind of thing, is just letting go of control of the norm or the structure or the idea that I thought that I needed to
Yeah.
follow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
this last week or two, I've just been saying over and over to Britt, I'm like, you know, Kirsten, I feel like in the beginning I was motivating her, and now I feel like what she's doing is motivating me, because I'm like, fuck, she's like doing something that I would have never really kind of thought to do with, you know, what you're posting and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, why the fuck can't I do that? And so I was like, you know, that's a piece of letting go of the control, is letting go of these ideas of what I think that I should be doing, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so
100%.
it didn't necessarily touch on, well, it did touch on a component of the income piece, but it was so abstract that I don't know that it would make sense talking about it now.
Okay, tell me about it because I have some ideas like percolating in my head. So I'm curious what was the
So
abstractest
basically, what was coming into my visions during that time was people that I follow that are really successful financially. So I follow this marketing guy named Steve, and then the guys that I work with for living the off-grid dream, they're very successful as well. They kept popping into my head, but the one thing that kept repeating over and over again was like, the more you give, the more they're going to give to you. So it's like this energy of like, in giving, you will receive. It's so hard to explain because it was so abstract. I don't even know how to put it into words really. But I think basically the whole idea of it was to just stop wanting so much and just start like being, because the wanting is almost like a restrictive energy, and it's like cutting off the receiving flow,
Right.
in a way. So I think in a sense that did kind of heal. And you know what is another interesting component of that is that what was it, 2 days later, I shared with the guys at work that I had gone through this. And at the end of the meeting, my boss is just like, excuse me, he's just like, you know what? We're open to having conversations with you about how we might be able to help you achieve like whatever financial goal you have. And so it's like, first of all, what kind of employer is like that? Very few. Secondly, it's pretty fucking amazing that just like opened up straight away, which if I go back to my journey 1 year ago, I had a very similar intention at the time, which was that I had at that time, I literally had no fucking clue what I wanted to do with my career life. And 1 week later, I got the job that I have now working with these guys, which is such a fucking random job of all these random skill sets that you have to have, which it's like, I'm the random person with those skill sets because I'm just interested in all these different things. And so it's just pretty wild how, you know, all those kind of connected and fell into place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Have you ever done something like that?
Something like what?
Like healing with plant medicine?
Yeah, I call it the spiritual experience.
Tell me about your
Like I'm
experience.
I'm going to have a spiritual experience. But before I tell you about that, I was gonna say it's interesting that your intention was with money, but then like this relationship piece came up and this like fear of like, oh no, like you're gonna like leave me and like that kind of thing. And I wonder if that was like the medicine's way of showing you the root of like the money is like if I like make more money, then people will like leave me.
Yeah, maybe. I do know that I have this subconscious false belief. Like I'm aware that it's a false belief and I don't want to believe it, but I think subconsciously I still sort of believe it, that people with money are assholes.
Yeah. So
And I
if you
think
get a lot
that's,
of money and you're an asshole, then you'll lose like the people in your world that you love.
yeah,
You're
like
an
I don't
asshole.
want to be an asshole.
It's like you think they're people with money are an asshole. Everyone else must think people with money are an asshole, so you'll lose them. Because
Yeah,
even if you're not an
exactly.
asshole, people will think you're an asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not true. I mean, maybe it could be true in some respects, but and this is another thing that my mentor Steve talks about. He's like, money is not good or evil. It's a tool that amplifies. So if the person with the money is evil or bad, that will amplify that. But if the person is
Mm,
doing good or is good, that will amplify that.
right.
So I just try to keep that in mind. And I think I don't really know where the other belief kind of came from, if it's something from my
I think it's
parents or something like
yeah, it's like
that.
societal, right? Because like in the Bible, people cut out the little piece of the Bible that says like money is the root of all evil, right?
Hmm.
But however, actually, if you read the Bible, it doesn't actually say that. It actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's not that
Hmm.
money is the root of all evil, but people kind of over time just like cut out that first part And they're like, oh, money is the root of all evil. My ex would say that all the time. Money is the root of all evil. And I'm like, how can it
Right.
be? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like when you go into the Bible, it's actually the love of money. So like basically if you're obsessed, if you're lusting after money, that's all you care about, that is like the root of evil, right?
Mhm.
But if you're following your path and you're like giving value to people and you're just in a place of like receiving and flow and you're in alignment with like who you are, right? And in alignment with the people and you're receiving money for that, that's totally different. It's not to say you can't have abundance. It's just that like if you have a practice and you only give a shit about money, you don't care about integrity, you don't care about the people, you're just chasing the money, the money, the money, that's all you care about, that is the root of evil because
Mhm.
you're not in alignment with everything else.
Yeah, and it's also like, what is your
Mm.
motivation behind it, right?
Mm, yeah,
So yeah, you're right. I think you kind of nailed it on the head. That's kind of, I feel like what it was basically trying to show me is in the pursuit of it, you're actually almost rejecting it in a way. So it's just like give your value to people and they
that's
will
right.
give their value back to you, whether that's in the form of money, love, whatever.
Trading, yeah.
So anyway, that's
Love it.
yeah, that's what I'm, excuse me. Just pick my freaking hangnail in front of everyone. Yeah, that's what I feel like my end path is just helping people with that kind of deeper level of healing, that kind of journey. And that's where I see a bit of a gap in what's currently offered in the world, is that
Mm.
nobody really, like, you can go to these, I know in Vancouver you can go to these places where it's like a big room and there's, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 people laying on a yoga mat doing a mushroom journey. But
I don't know how I feel about that.
I know
That's a lot of other people's like energies and demons and things like in the room. I don't know how I feel about that because mushroom journeys are not always pleasant. You have to realize that when you're going into it. Like, you know,
exactly.
you might have like, you might meet God or you might meet all your demons, like
Yeah.
it's gonna come what is right for you, but you don't know if it's gonna be good, bad, or ugly. Like you don't know. And to be in a room with all those other people, not to say you couldn't do it with other people, but that's a lot of people to be in one room and everyone's experiencing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
that's
fully agree. And I feel like this is where there's a huge gap is, well, there's a couple of things. Like the first gap is this this thought that if you've done it recreationally and you've had this and that kind of experience, that if you do it therapeutically that you're going to have the same kind of experience, which is totally not true, because you're when you do it therapeutically, you're going within, and it's so much different than just being out in the world la-di-da watching
yeah,
trees
totally.
turn purple and shit. But um but then
Yeah.
also there's another component where it's like that, like what you were saying, you're in this room full of other people having their experiences. There's a lot of energies going on here. And the other piece that I noticed is that there's not a lot of facilitators or guidance peeps that offer space to help you unpack it, because a lot of these journeys that are done therapeutically and you do it, you go within, I find that they can be so deep and so intense and so metaphorical, so abstract,
Specific.
that
Yeah.
it can sometimes be a lot to unpack. And so that's kind of where I want to help take it a step further with people is, we obviously have subconscious imprinting technique. I have started family constellations, that kind of thing. So I want to be able to kind of help people that next step. It's like you've done the journey, you've received the information, you've received the revelations.
Yeah.
Now, how do we help you move and process that and go to the next step, kind of thing?
Yeah.
So anywho,
I think that's so great because yeah, like what's the whole purpose of doing the journey without getting that information and being able to digest it and utilize it actually in your life, right? Make sense of it. What's the point then?
exactly. And
Yeah.
even just having it as simple as the space to have people to talk to about it, I think is also even huge. So
Yeah,
whether or
because
not,
people might be coming to it and their family might not know, or then maybe they do know and they're judging it hardcore because they don't know. Like, so maybe they
yeah,
don't have anyone to like even just talk about it.
yeah, my partner and I have a lot of family that is super judgmental of this type of healing. Um, but then they'll go and have a weekend of drinking and fucking doing blow. But
Right? Isn't
yeah,
that so funny? Like what people like judge. It's just funny.
it's like you're trying to use a natural plant medicine therapeutically guided in a safe space versus I'm just gonna take a fucking 2 6 of alcohol and just get blasted and go, I don't know, people do fucked up shit. Go fishing, go wherever the fuck they go.
Yeah.
And what is that doing for you? Falling down, fucking scraping up your body.
Yeah, plus
Anyway,
even alcohol, like alcohol is called spirits for a reason. So I don't know. So I don't
yes, it
everyone's so like
invites
free with that, but
spirits.
it's like I don't know.
I feel like this is a huge reason why I used to be a huge party person and I drank a lot. And I feel like I took on a lot of demons,
Yeah.
demons in a sense, during that time period. And it was a very dark period. And I feel like now I I still have a drink here and there, but I'm so much more conscious and aware. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a drink. My energetic boundaries are going to come down because of that. I feel
Yeah.
like that's just a hard thing to avoid when you're using alcohol. And so just kind of knowing that and being prepared for that and saying, "Oh, I might." It's like there's people that get drunk and they become like a whole different person. Well, why do you think that is? Is maybe something taking over you?
I think so. 100%.
Anyway, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know what else was the whole point of what I was just saying just then, but I guess overall for this topic is just that, like, for anyone who's kind of experiencing stuff that you can't seem to move past, even with different kinds of healing sessions, counseling, whatever, plant medicine might be the next step, because it's like I was saying, my body was releasing stuff without me consciously knowing. I was just kind of like, holy shit, my eye mask is so wet. It's like basically drenched because my body was just crying, crying, crying all this sadness out that I had been holding on to for a long time. And so sometimes it's just what you need, just what your subconscious and your body needs to just let it go, and you can start moving past it. And I just realized afterwards how much I love my partner and how supportive she is of me and how much shit I was holding on to that was stopping us from connecting like we used to. And so like
Yeah.
this last week has been fucking amazing because I've just been like, I love you so much. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've let that go.
That's so
So
great. I love that.
I'd be really curious to see what other people think about plant medicine healing and using psychedelics therapeutically. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are really against it, and maybe some people who have had bad experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let me know. Let me know, guys. Anyone that's listening, your thoughts on that.
I've had some pretty interesting experiences with it. I've done it about 5 times, four or
Yeah,
five
tell me.
times. And the first time I did it was just like a very light dose. Like it was very small. It was very just like feathery little tickle of it, not much there. And then the second time I did it, it was really good. It was just at that time it was weird. I was really on this journey of like, why am I so fucked up? Like, why am I so broken? Um, and it's just funny to look back at that now because I don't feel that way at all. But I was just so honed in on like, okay, I have to fix myself. I have to fix myself. Like I'm so broken. I can't have a relationship. I can't have like what I want. And I don't love myself. And like I just kept being like, why? Like that was my intention for every session, like why? And I don't really remember what happened like the first time I did like a higher dose. I think everything was kind of fine with that. Like I don't remember like the outcome of it, but I do remember like or like my intention specifically. I just know there was like this theme of like self-hatred and like brokenness that I felt. And so the first one was like good. And then the second one, when I like increased my dose, that one was good too. And then the third one that I did, it was a little bit of a higher dose, but not much. I think it maybe was like 2.5 grams. And that was a crazy experience because like trauma was like literally like coming out of my body. Like my body was like convulsing and shaking. And so that was pretty intense and pretty scary, to be honest.
Mhm.
Luckily I did it with like some friends. They also did it too. So it was kind of a weird thing because they did it and I did it. So it was like, but luckily they were able to like support me in that, thank God, because it was a very frightening experience. Like I couldn't stop my body from like convulsing. Like it was just so intense.
Mhm.
Um, and like in looking that up and stuff like that, like it was like the trauma like kind of built up like in my body. And so I ended up getting like the courage to call the person who had like abused me when I was little and like called them out on it. I didn't do a lot of talking. My friend like did a lot. But something in that and calling that person and confronting them and cutting like severing them from my life because they were still in my life. It was kind of messed up. And so like having that like that closure of calling that person, letting them like know that like I know and like they're not off the hook. That was just like a whole that really was a big trajectory forward for me to heal because um that trauma had been like stuck in me for so long and like had kept me broken for so long. And so yeah, after that and then I just kept doing all this other work and like EPT sessions and then I started learning about sit, so doing like sit sessions. I was doing like all this like work on myself to like overcome all of that like self-hatred from that experience
Sweet.
and with
You
all
cut out
sorts of
there for a
things.
sec when your phone dinged.
Oh, my phone didn't ding. It
Oh,
just must have just cut out. I'm on my laptop. Weird.
oh. Something dinged and then your voice cut out.
Oh, weird. I'm like, I don't have my notifications are all set, like
So weird.
off, so it's
Okay.
weird. Um, anyway, so yeah, I was just working really hard to like overcome that and like be myself and all kinds of self-worth, self-love things. And then the last time that I did it, um, I did a huge dose, like 5 grams, which is that's crazy. Like that's a huge amount. But I was just so determined to like I was just so determined to get over my shit and fix myself. Like I was obsessed with doing like the work. Um and it was crazy because like nothing really ended up like happening. And like I wasn't even like high at all basically. Like the mushrooms didn't touch me at all. And I know that they were good because I got them from the same place that I got them from like before, the same group of people. And yeah, nothing happened. We ended up like going for a walk and I was just like having fun and like feeling free and like kind of got this like little message that I needed to let go of control and like I was allowed to like have fun and like be free and like be myself. And then we went for a walk in the forest and um I just kind of got this message from God like when I was like by myself because they kind of like walked a bit ahead. And it was like, girl, like you're fine, like you're okay, like you're healed, you're not broken anymore. Like stop trying to fix yourself, stop trying to do this shit, like you're good. Like that piece of you that like you thought is so like broken. I'm gonna cry. Like you're good. Stop. And then I just never felt called to do it again. Because after that, I just felt so like free from that burden.
See, that is where I feel like the name magic truly it like resonates, because it gives you just what you need. And
Yeah.
because I did the same dose that you did, but I did about 5.3 grams, which is fucking, yeah, it's huge. That is what you call a hero's journey. It's
Yeah.
you're going deep. But
Yeah.
where, like you saying that you didn't really have, much effect on you at that time, is because you had that intention of like, you wanted to heal that thing, but you had already healed it. And medicine's just like, yeah, girl. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you actually need right now, which is you're good. You can have fun. You can enjoy yourself. Whereas like me, on the other hand, I truly needed it. I had some deep shit that I had to experience, and it took a long fucking time for me to finally click. And this actually kind of reminds me too, since we're on the topic of using mushrooms, of microdosing too. There's also that option for people who are like not not there yet on a macrodose. Microdose is like you would take, it's like a one, like, how much is it? Like 10
It's like
milligrams. It's like a tiny,
it's like
tiny little
point
amount.
0.3.
And you don't
It's like 0.3
experience any psychedelic things, but it subtly rewires things in your brain. This actually helped me, 5-6 years ago, when I was super depressed and thinking about suicide. I started microdosing alongside having a sit session, but
Yeah.
um it helps your brain kind of like switch and start rewiring. So that can also be very therapeutic for anyone who doesn't want to quite journey at this point, just wants to start kind of shifting
I feel
subconsciously.
like I should do that now, like microdose, because a lot of things are like shifting and changing in my world and upgrades and business changing and all kinds of things. And it's all like coming really fast, but my brain is like trying to catch up with like this new identity and like
Mm.
it's a lot.
Yeah, that might actually be very helpful, because because I find too, with me, if I just take, if I take a microdose every 2 days, I guess it depends. Some people are 2 to 3 days. Then it helps keep your mind almost a little bit sharper too when you're in those kind of situations.
Yeah.
And I would just muscle test it, honestly. Um, I at one point took it for probably like 2 to 3 months, every 2-3 days. And actually, a year or two ago, I went to a big event. It was like a big marketing event, like a 3-4 day event. And it's just like there's so much, but I wanted to take in all the information. I microdose every single day because I was just like laser focused. And that was really helpful. And the reason why I really like using that instead of something like, I know a lot of people would use something like Adderall or whatever, I feel like you don't get the same kind of withdrawal or come down or anything like that. It's just, you're just kind of
Yeah.
normal after.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Cool. So how are you feeling like after it all? Like how are you feeling?
Well, I'm sure that you basically almost always have a bit of an afterglow like the day after. And yeah, the day after I had a headache, and I think that was just because my body was just releasing so hard, and I did not drink enough water during that time.
Oh,
I was just so in it. But I just, took it easy the next day, and I just felt like so fucking in love with my partner. I was like, oh my God, I just love you so much. And so I think that was like a bit of the afterglow. Um, and yeah, and now I sort of just feel in general a little bit more calm. Like, and I think this is a big piece of letting go of the control. especially like because we got the kids this week. So I find for myself when the weeks that we have kids, I feel a little bit tense because we go from a week of just like calm, quiet, peacefulness, and then the kids come and it's like, "Ah!" And so it's a very stark difference from week to week. And I just kind of found myself just being a little more chill and relaxed when they came here, even just when they're kind of being loud. I'm just like, hey, I noticed that you're using your outside voice. Do you want to go outside? Or,
Yeah.
or if you want to stay inside, that's cool. Just use your inside voice. And just kind of being like chill instead of being like, hey, you're too loud. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And I do feel like as far as the whole career stuff's going, another thing that I have been kind of doing in tandem with this is um I'm doing this like spinal healing journey thing with our communities doing that. And one of the homework assignments is to journal every single day. Excuse me. Where you're basically just letting your thoughts free flow onto paper. And then the last half of the third page is you're just writing a reframe. Um, so for example, let's say you're writing about your fears and your controls and yada yada, then your last half of your last page you would be writing about how you love and accept yourself, receiving, and that you're deserving and calm and relaxed and all this kind of stuff. There's like a specific statement, but I just don't I just can't repeat it off the top of my head. So we'll have to save that for another time. But I just feel like that is also kind of helping get some clarity with some of the stuff. So this morning, for example, I just wrote out the steps that I feel like would help people in, getting to the point where they want to do a journey with me. So, for
Mhm.
example, you might start with a simple meditation, um, and then go to my healing program where you can do it by yourself, or you can join a group mentoring with me. And then at that point, you might feel either you'll feel like you've shifted a bunch of stuff and you're good to go, or you might feel like, hey, there's something deeper here that I can't shift. We need to have an in-person experience, a journey.
Spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Well, in case anyone wants to indulge in my fantasy of what this looks like, is I imagine, and this is so wild how this is so synchronous, but for the longest time, I imagined having this just beautiful property where people who come to heal have kind of their own little like 1 bedroom little place to stay type of deal, beautiful garden in the middle, the main house where everyone would come and eat organic food and whatnot. And we would do the healing here. And this very, very closely models the type of projects and properties that the guys that I work with now help people create, these off-grid properties. And so this is kind of where ideally I would love to take it. I think in the beginning, it's going to kind of start in maybe, hosting at someone else's retreat property or whatever. But ideally, I would just really love to have this kind of sacred space for people to come and just feel like they can be cut off from the outside world for the weekend and just not have to worry. Everything's taken care of. You have a safe space. You have a clean, toxin-free, organic, healthy place to just relax and heal and feel safe. So anyway.
I just got shivers.
I found the perfect property last week, and it's like has this creek that runs around the property, and it's like the whole thing is like right in this, oh, it's so cute. But anyway.
Just keep your vision on that.
It's it's in the works, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna start helping people journey before then. We're just working our way towards that.
I love that.
Well, my friend, this has been a good chat.
Yes.
I feel like it's going to be a bit much for some people, but hopefully it'll be eye-opening for others. And hope you guys connect with us so we can hear your thoughts on this. Any
Yeah, and
last
just saying
thoughts,
like one
Kirsten?
thing, what's that saying? Like, how much more can you receive from it if you let go of your judgment on it? I
Yeah.
don't know if I said that right, but
There was actually, okay, I think there was this other statement that V and Ocean gave, but also it was people from Access Consciousness were giving this statement. Something along the lines of, and this is probably not completely right, but what am I judging that if I weren't judging it, I could be receiving from it? Except they put it in a way that was like kind of funny. It's like, what piece of shit am I being that if I wasn't being that or judging that I could be receiving or something like that. But anyway.
yeah, pretty much. Like, what could you receive from anything, any of our podcast episodes, if you stop judging it?
Yeah, basically the whole point of the statement is whatever you judge, you cannot receive from. So
Yeah.
if you do find yourself judging us, I would challenge you to ask, what are you unwilling to receive?
Yeah.
And if you were willing to receive, what magic could you create?
Love it. Yay.
Easier said than done
For
sometimes,
sure, yeah.
but at least if you're aware of it, that helps.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
guys.
guys. Well, thanks again for listening. This has been our 12th episode. So stoked that for anyone who's been following along, thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Ciao.